Welcome to Grow and Preserve. I'm Carter and I'm so glad you're here today. We are in the midst of the 2025 Pantry Challenge hosted by Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead, and it is flying by. So let's just jump right in and see what we had to eat this week. So this first one came out of desperation, I guess, really last summer. It was dinner time, it was dark outside, but it was pouring down rain. And as many of you know, my canning pantry is only accessible outside. So it's in what is really the crawl space of my house. So I have to go outside to get to the canning pantry. I keep a few jars up in my kitchen pantry, but not very many because I worry about the strength of those shelves. Right, the last thing I need is for my husband to be right and those shelves to come falling down because I've put too many canning jars on top of them. So I just keep a few things up here. So I'm looking at the pantry to see what I have because I do not want to walk outside and down that slippery hill to get to the canning pantry to find something else for dinner. So in the pantry, I have 2 jars of soup. I have a chipotle beef soup and a chipotle chicken soup. Yeah, that would be fine if it were cold outside, but that's really, if I'm going to eat soup, I want it to be cold outside. I don't want it to be 100 degrees, which is pretty close to what it was at the time. So I thought, well, I have tortillas, I have cheese. The only thing really standing in the way here of making a quesadilla is the liquid in the soup, because everything in that soup, it's a chipotle chicken soup and a chipotle beef soup. And I used both of those jars, combined them together. If we were eating them, it's funny, I would choose the chipotle beef and David would choose the chipotle chicken. But anyway, that's how it worked out. I just put them together. They were fantastic. It had all the right peppers and seasonings in there. It had a little bit of corn. It had, just all kinds of yummy things for a quesadilla. So I poured off most of the liquid, and you could certainly use that to season rice or beans or whatever else you were going to have with your dinner. I didn't need it for anything in particular, but then I put it in there with a little bit of remaining liquid because I wanted that flavor to concentrate as the water cooked out of the broth. And it turned into this amazing quesadilla filling. We just absolutely love this. So I have actually served this meal maybe 3 or 4 times since this summer. And, not just because those are the only jars I have in the pantry anymore, but we actually choose to have this. It was so darn good. All the flavor was in there, all the vegetables, although it doesn't look like there were a whole lot of vegetables. There were peppers and corn and tomatoes and onions and things in there. And it was terrific. So if you have something on your shelf that's, maybe in a different form than what you're thinking you need, maybe there's a way to get it into that form. So maybe you have some kind of a soup. I think we talked the last couple of weeks about French onion soup and how that's just, a gravy waiting to happen. So things don't always have to be exactly what they were intended to be. And that's one of the great things about this challenge and frankly about not planning, because sometimes you just have to make do with what you have. So this was a terrific result of me not planning what we were going to have for dinner and having the rain hit and not being prepared. So if you made either of these soups, or if you made the Southwest black bean soup, man, that one would be fantastic as a fajita. So anyway, I hope you'll try using them in new and different ways. So this week I only needed 2 items from the grocery store. First is this head of cauliflower, and second is an avocado, which you'll see later. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate only needing a couple of items from the grocery store. That just, I don't know, that's just crazy. That just never happens, and it just goes to show you how much food I'm probably buying that I don't necessarily need to if I put a little more thought and a little more effort into it. So anyway, lesson learned. Well, I hope I've learned this lesson. You know, I may have to learn this lesson over and over again, but I will try again to take it away with me. So for the cauliflower, I'm going to break it into florets, and I'm just going to roast it in the air fryer this time. We're going to have chicken tikka masala today, and ordinarily I would turn the cauliflower into either raised cauliflower or cauliflower mash, and then I would put the chicken tikka masala on top of that. And I don't know, for some reason I just thought, you know, I really want some roasted cauliflower. So I had a little bit of salt, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of ginger, a little bit of turmeric, and threw that in the air fryer while I got the chicken tikka masala going. Now, normally I would serve chicken tikka masala with some freshly cooked chicken, so maybe previously frozen, but freshly cooked chicken, breast or thighs, cut into bite-sized pieces and just sauteed up right before I add the tikka masala sauce. And that honestly is my preferred way to do it. But I had two things going on here. One, I did not think ahead of time to defrost any chicken for tonight's dinner. And two, you may remember during the first week or two of the challenge, I mentioned that I had found in kind of a tucked away closet an entire case of canned chicken from 2020. So I have 12 jars of 5-year-old chicken. And down in my canning pantry, you know, I have plenty of canned chicken down there, but the oldest one is probably from 2023. I may have a couple from 2022, but this case from 2020 is by far my oldest chicken. And I do like to do a first in, first out basis on my home canned items. So while this chicken was perfectly good, it tasted exactly the same way it would have the day after I canned it. No difference at all in taste or texture. It's just not the way I would have preferred to have prepared the chicken to go in this dish. But it took, you know, killed two birds with one stone. One, gave us some chicken to put in this dish because I didn't have any defrosted. And two, got me through another jar from 2020. So I'm going to add some coconut milk to this. And then I have this container of goat yogurt that has been floating around my refrigerator for weeks now. Literally, I think I opened this before Christmas, and it's just been floating around. You've seen it several times. I know you're as tired of seeing it as I am. So anyway, I'm going to try to get through that this week, and you'll see later in the week that I do actually end up making it all the way through that container of yogurt. So I added some to this. If you don't have coconut milk, you can add yogurt, you can add heavy whipping cream, you can add sour cream even, you can add whatever it is that you want. Just because something is traditional with a tikka masala doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way you need to do it. You use whatever you have or whatever you like, and that's the way it's going to be best for you. So my husband is so funny. If I had done the cauliflower as cauliflower rice or cauliflower mash, he would be great with the chicken tikka masala going on top of that, right? But now that I have it in florets and it's been roasted, somehow it needs to go on the side because now it's a vegetable. Whereas before, I guess he doesn't see it as a vegetable. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, now I know that I can probably sneak in some more vegetables as long as I have a cauli mash or a cauliflower rice or something going in there as well, because I don't honestly think he sees that as a vegetable. But anyway, this was a good meal. Do I wish that I had done the chicken fresh? Yeah, I do. But this was terrific, and it was easy. It used up another one of my jars, and I just love the flavor of the tikka masala. So this was terrific. Time to do some more baking. I don't think I did any last week, and it's time to catch up. I miss having these treats in the fridge, and my husband is such a snack freak that it's really a good thing when I have something like this in the fridge that is healthy and freshly prepared with good ingredients for him to eat. Otherwise, he can get himself into all kinds of trouble. So today I'm making pumpkin spice cupcakes out of the Paleo Baking at Home cookbook that I bought myself this for my birthday. And I have made, I think, 5 recipes out of this now, and they've all been great. I'm really pleased with this now. I am adjusting her recipes from being paleo to being keto, because those are really easy recipes to change, because paleo recipes already don't have the gluten and the regular flour in them, and so it's very difficult or very easy, given that many of them have a base of like almond flour or coconut flour. Very easy to make the change over to keto. So I have a real thing for pumpkin spice. I look forward to it every year. Turns out I really like it like October 1st through the end of December. And then I'm kind of done with pumpkin spice. And I don't know that that really occurred to me until today, but normally I don't, I don't do pumpkin outside of that in terms of sweet items. So these cupcakes or muffins or whatever we're calling them were really delicious, but I'm just not in the mood for pumpkin anymore. I feel like, that time, the fall, is my pumpkin season, and then I'm done with it. So these were good. We ate them, but I won't make them again until October, but I will make them again. So let me tell you what's in these. We have 3 large eggs, 1 cup of pumpkin puree, and mine was actually freeze-dried. I like to freeze-dry it and keep it ready for when the dog may need some in her food. So I kind of stole the dog's pumpkin puree. And I am going to have to make some more for her, because that is now all gone. But it's 1 cup of pumpkin puree, 1/4 cup of canned full-fat organic coconut milk. Again, this is a paleo cookbook, so feel free to substitute regular dairy or whatever it is that you use instead of the coconut milk. 1/2 cup of sugar. I used allulose instead of that. 2 tablespoons of melted coconut oil, ghee, butter, whatever your oil of choice is. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. 1 3/4 cups of blanched almond flour. 1/4 cup of arrowroot flour. 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda. 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. 1/4 teaspoon of fine sea salt. And because I thought it sounded good to me, and I have some in my pantry, I added some chopped pecans. And I really think that was a great addition. I love pecans in anything, though, so perhaps that's just me. But this recipe fit great in 12 muffin tins. So these baked for 20 minutes in the oven, and then they need to cool for about 10 minutes after that. And then she includes that maple cinnamon frosting. So I'll go ahead and give you the recipe for that, even though I did not use it. So 1/2 cup of palm oil shortening, 1/2 cup of ghee, 1/4 cup of tapioca flour, 3/4 cup of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and 1/8 a teaspoon of fine sea salt. So here are these muffins. They turned out really great. David was standing by waiting for his half, and we both enjoyed it. This is a brand new recipe I have coming up. This is out of the cookbook called the Well-Plated Cookbook. It is called Grammy's Green Chili Chicken Enchiladas. Again, I'm looking for ways to use up this case of chicken from 2020 that I found. So I have some peppers. They were a couple of years old as well. I found those in the freezer as I kind of worked my way down. This was, well, I'm just going to cut to the chase now. This was great. This was really, really good. So we had it for dinner that night. David finished it for lunch the next day and has already asked for it again sometime in the near future. So this one was really terrific. Again, it has a lot of my usual flavors, and because I'm using already canned and essentially shredded chicken, I was able to skip a lot of steps that are in this recipe that would make it take a lot longer. So canned chicken, again, fantastic meal prep for something like this. So let me run through the recipe as it is written in this book for you. So she says 2 medium red, yellow, or orange bell peppers cut into 1/4-inch dice, about 2 cups. That's about what I added in terms of the frozen peppers. A medium yellow onion, 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast, cooked and shredded, 1½ teaspoons kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, 2 cups of shredded Monterey Jack cheese, 1½ cups of non-fat plain Greek yogurt, 2 cans of diced green chilies, 8 taco-size whole wheat flour tortillas, 2 cups of green enchilada sauce, and whatever toppings you desired. So I skipped some steps. I did a couple of different things. Salsa verde is what I'm using because I have that on my shelf to make her green enchilada sauce, which is in a separate recipe. But I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use the salsa verde and some cilantro and a little bit of that leftover broth from the jar of chicken. And I'm going to make something somewhat resembling a green enchilada sauce, and it turned out great. It was just perfect. So that was an easy way to go and a great way to use up some of the salsa verde because I find that to be a little spicy for me. So here goes the last of this yogurt. I know you guys have been dying for me to finish this container of yogurt, and I certainly have. It's been floating around my refrigerator for weeks, possibly into a couple of months now. Anyway, this is the very end of it. Hooray. So once the chicken and peppers were all cooked together with the seasonings and everything, we're going to add that yogurt. Mine is goat yogurt. She calls for Greek yogurt. Whatever yogurt you use is just fine. And the Monterey Jack cheese, and mix up that filling. And my dish had room for 5 enchiladas. So I'm going to make 5. You'll see I had plenty left over. I could have made a 6th one, but you know, I wanted to keep it flat in my dish so that everything had enough green enchilada sauce and cheese on top. These were really good. I will absolutely do this again. The filling was really good. Usually when I make enchiladas, I don't put the yogurt and the cheese, well, I don't put yogurt in it at all, but I don't even put the cheese in the filling. I always leave the cheese for the top. So I don't know if that's, I don't know where that came from. You know, it sounds pretty normal to put the cheese on the inside, but I typically just put the cheese on the top. But this was really delicious, and the yogurt made it really creamy, and these were great. So I hope you'll give these a try. You'll see the only thing I had to buy for this meal was the avocado. Next up is one of my husband's favorite meals ever, and certainly one of the easiest meals if you are a home canner. So we're going to have spaghetti, just regular old spaghetti. I love this. This is one of the reasons I grow so many tomatoes, one of the reasons I make so many tomato products. One of the key reasons I keep hot Italian sausage on the shelf, and one of the reasons I'm so happy to find this new pasta. So this is super easy. It uses 3 jars. I have my Italian sausage, I have some crushed tomatoes, and I have some pasta sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of my home freeze-dried garlic. I'm going to make these pasta noodles, and then I'm going to top it with some cheese. And this, if you ask my husband, he is, you know, I don't know. If you ask him what he wants to eat at any given point in time, he will generally say pizza, lasagna, or spaghetti. I don't know why he seems so focused on Italian everything, but I think he just misses he misses the carbs. I think pretty much that's what he misses. But I know he misses having pasta, and he's so excited about having this back in our lives now. So we had this, and then we had another salad of microgreens. As I think I mentioned before, the round of microgreens I have right now, although I don't have very many trays going, I think I have 5 trays going down there. They have been, wow, so productive. We've had so many salads, and like full salads out of those 5 trays, and I still have plenty down there, which is a really good thing because the weather has pretty much taken out my garden of baby greens. I think that I will eventually, maybe some of the spinach will come back, maybe a little of the cilantro will come back, but everything else is just gone. And that's, you know, that's fine. It is really a ground cover, meant to be a ground cover, and it did its job, and now it's going to go back and feed the soil. But this was a super easy meal. That's it for me this week. I thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a wonderful week on the Pantry Challenge as well. If you're looking for more inspiration of what to have for dinner tonight, take a look at a couple of these videos. I'll put some past weeks up there for you and you can go catch up with those. So thank you so much. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.